to your mother. It's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just some high-flying, ran fast vertical stems and professors from Penn watching Eagles eat and pray like Pazookies on birthdays. It's Philadelphia, Marissa, Bo, and Zach kicking it. Cooler than 3 penguins till Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some
Birds with Friends.
The early bird gets the worm but prefers getting turned like a turn on some
Birds with Friends.
Marissa, Bo, and Zach are here to squawk. Don't miss the mistress talk on some.
You know the term salt of the earth? I guess I screw up the term. I call them dirt of the earth. I said it in like the most earnest way possible.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Birds with Friends. It's 12:23 in the morning after the Eagles' preseason finale, an interminable final preseason game, a game won by the Indianapolis Colts by the final score of something to something. And this is Bo Wolf and Zach Berman. Zach, how are you?
Doing well. Excited for the pod.
Lean in, baby. Lean in. Get close. You already told me you love me. You can get close.
Does this suffice?
Yeah, this is good.
Okay.
This is good.
This is like a second date, right?
Wow, you're rubbing legs on the second date. All right, Emily, good for you. Nice job. Okay, Zach. We saw no starters tonight, except for all the starters for the Colts who played almost the first half.
Yeah, Shane wanted to win this one.
Kind of
didn't he?
wild, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not like they were running away from the Eagles' third stringers, but we saw some Tanner McKee. We saw some Tyreek Maddox-Williams making a big play. And
South Jersey's own.
that was about it. Is there anything else that we should talk about? Are we good?
Devin Allen's opening kickoff return.
Devin Allen's opening kickoff return. Yeah, the place was buzzing.
Fred Johnson spoke to Big Fred afterwards. He was looking for you. You were the original interviewer, right? You were there before the contract extension.
Yeah, I don't like that the Eagles did this contract extension. Not everybody on the beat was going to have him on the roster, and now there goes a point for me.
There goes a point. But no, there wasn't much to take away from this game. Otherwise, the Eagles used the joint practices to get their evaluations and take out their aggression. And today was just one day closer to the season opener.
I know that's right. Let me ask you a big picture question, Zach.
Let's do it.
That has nothing to do with this game tonight. Now that the preseason is over and the 53-man rosters are being prepared, in what way or in any way do you feel differently about the Eagles now than you did a month ago?
Well, I like that question. And you didn't prep me for it. We didn't do the show in the break room. Isn't that what they say? I don't think they're as deep as the reputation suggests. I think they're deep in some areas, right? Like the defensive line, they're really deep. Defensive tackle, edge rusher.
I was thinking about this too. I feel like they are deep from like 22 to 45, and then not super deep from like 45 to 53.
There's this perception that like they're the deepest roster in the NFL, and that I saw a tweet tonight. I'm not going to name names. He's a friend of mine. Said they have 60 guys who should make they have 60 guys who should make their 53. I'm not singling you out, Elliot. Love you, buddy, okay. But I don't think I actually have the opposite. I think this is a year when like have to stretch to find 53 because
that last spot. I don't know who's getting that last spot.
Now the thing is that I'll say this: their 46 is really good.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
Yeah, like the guys they're going to dress on Sundays are really good, but that's what matters. Yeah, but they have spots on this roster that are not especially deep, and a wide receiver, linebacker. So that's something that jumps out to me in that regard is that I think there's a misperception that they're deeper than they are. Is it misconception or misperception?
I was just curious now that you brought her up.
If there's a Mr. Oh, okay. Boom. Yeah, I knew we were going with that one.
Yeah. I mean, listen, they are probably as deep, if not deeper than most teams in the NFL. But yeah, I agree that we're sort of stretching to find, Mr. 52, Mr. 53.
Yeah. I forget what year it was. They all kind of run together right now. But Howie once said, like, if if your biggest concern about us is like our backup, whatever, then it means we have a pretty good roster.
Yeah, I believe that was 20
18, I think.
No, I think it was 2019.
2019. Okay.
I actually think it was 2020.
No, it wasn't 2020.
I think it was 2020, and it was about like the fourth edge rusher or something like that.
2020, really?
I think so.
Oh, man, they misperceived that roster then.
Yeah. So you feel generally better or generally worse than you did a month ago?
Oh, I feel generally better or about the same because, look, it's the Bo Wolf versus Zach Berman training camp evaluations, right? Like you're keying in on the bottom of the roster. You know that better than anyone else, okay? I'm keying in on the top of the roster.
We're gonna find out. I don't know. I'm not feeling great about my chances of repeat or
so
getting the crown back.
I feel as good or better because Jalen looks awesome. AJ looks awesome. Devontae looks awesome. Like I shouldn't pound the table because on defense, they're going to get to the quarterback. I think Jalen Carter has really come on during the past week or two. I like both their corners. Like I think that where they need to be good, they are good.
The Jalen Carter hype is like, whew, it's reaching a fever pitch. I'll have a piece, that little piece coming out early next week.
It's one of my favorites every year.
We'll see about that. Yeah, I think I feel better. I mean, also they made it through the summer healthy, right? It's not a nice thing to say, but if the season-ending injuries you suffer through preseason are Zach McPherson and Sean Bradley, you feel bad for those guys, but you feel like you probably made out well. I do think that we should note that like all of the injuries they've suffered have been in the preseason games. So whatever is behind the sports science of the way that they practice and the way that they monitor guys, I believe that Charleston Rambo is the only person who was placed on injured reserve with an injury suffered during practice. So again, it could just be.
I did not expect the Charleston Rambo pull tonight.
It could be luck. It could be magic, but I think it is at least by design. So good for them on that front.
Yeah. Look, we've been critical of that training staff and that medical staff when the injuries have piled up. We'll give them credit now. There's a reason why they're healthy.
Okay. What do you want to do? You want to go through the 53s?
Sure. Let me pull out my 53.
Oof. That sentence could have ended in a much different way.
We are at 12:31 here, right?
What is that supposed to mean? Anytime you're out this late, that's what you're doing?
So
be
quarterback.
Careful.
Quarterback, I think we're in agreement.
Don't get canceled. Yeah, I think we're in agreement. Tanner McKee will be the starter week 1.
Marcus Mariota, Tanner McKee. Yeah. What do you think of Tanner McKee tonight?
I thought he was good again tonight. I mean, he's throwing to Joseph Ngata, who can't separate from you. No offense. And he's going up against the Colts ones, and he's putting the ball like right on these guys. I remain smitten with Mr. McKee.
So you said no offense. That's actually a compliment. If an NFL wide receiver can't separate from me, that's suggesting that I can keep pace with an NFL wide receiver.
No, but it's meant as
I recognize how you meant it, but I perceived it as you think I got some wheels. Running back. So you don't think they're going to do my Trey Sermon trick here?
What have you ever seen from Trey Sermon that makes you think that he's deserving of that kind of chicanery?
2 touchdowns, 2 games here. No, so I look at it this way, and I've said this before. If you just play the contract situation, they have 3 running backs on expiring deals. If you want to have some type of cost certainty there and you think Trey Sermon has talent, you're going to end up putting guys on IR or a guy on IR. So what you can do is if you think you can cut a Scott or a Penny and just sign him 2 days later, that allows you to keep Sermon, you can do that. But I agree. I don't think Sermon has especially distinguished himself. I think it's more something that it's probably confirmation bias from the coaches keep talking about him.
Yeah, I mean he's clearly been separated from those other four.
Yes.
Like he had to play tonight. Those other four didn't.
Well, respectfully, if he didn't play tonight, then Kennedy Brooks would have just been
Right.
Yeah, they needed somebody. Wide receiver. This is where you and I are in agreement because
I'm worried about this. Other people aren't going to have it, but
if you listen to Birds with Friends, you know what's up.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. We could definitely be wrong, but I have them going 4 here.
I have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith making the team.
I know you do.
Okay.
Quez and Olamide as well. Why do they need to carry Britton Covey?
Well, I agree. They didn't carry him at the start of last season.
He's injured right now. He probably makes it through waivers, and you can keep him on the practice squad. Olamide Zaccheaus can return punts in a pinch. I think they would like to add a 5th receiver, potentially through waivers. Now, they do have the number 31 waiver claim, so it's not like they're going to get their pick of the litter. But I think there will be enough talented wide receivers released league-wide that they might find somebody that they like. I think this is a spot where you'll see them make a roster tweak. I like Britton Covey, one of my favorite guys to talk to in the locker room.
Yes.
But you can't make the clump in the tump. And I don't think that he is of a status where he deserves to necessarily make this team.
Well, he hasn't been playing.
And I also don't think when he's been on the field that it's not like he's taken a leap as a receiver.
Yeah.
He hasn't really, gotten better there. And so are you carrying an injured 5th receiver just to be your punt returner? I don't think so.
I'm with you there. I think that ideally you find a promising young receiver who's waived elsewhere, similar to how they found Trey Sermon and Ian Book last year. Not to say those guys panned out, but that profile player, someone you want to develop. If he's a big body type, that's also good because outside of AJ Brown, they don't have that among the wide receiver core that's likely to make the team. And I don't have Britton Covey making my team right now. I have only 4. I think OZ can potentially return punts unless they pick up someone else who can return punts. But Covey he came on a bit late last year. We would agree there. But I don't think that he's a lock to make this team. And I think some of it's based on reputation right now.
I would go even further. I think if they keep a 5th receiver, I wouldn't be shocked if it's Jaden Hazelwood.
Ooh. If you're calling your shot with Jaden Hazelwood.
I'm not putting him on my 53. I'm mentioning it so that I'll get some partial credit if it happens.
Yeah. Well, that shows how much Jalen Hurts has juice in the building, right?
I think Hazelwood's good. I think he's the best of those guys.
So I got to take an L on Joseph Ngata, right? I mean, I was a little premature on that one back early in camp.
I mean, you said it, not me. I don't.
Yeah.
I think he's fine. He might make the practice squad.
Not the first 6'2", 220-pound receiver who I've fallen for in training camp.
Yeah, I just have never seen any wiggle or juice from him, which I do see from Hazelwood.
Okay.
Tight end, do you think there's any chance they keep a 4th?
So I had at one point Tyree Jackson making it, and I think that would be the 4th they keep. No disrespect to Jimmy Kempsky's Brady Russell love, but
is it Brady Russell or Russell Brady?
It's Brady Russell. I'm fairly certain. Tyree Jackson, I still think Howie has an infatuation with Tyree. They traded Zach Ertz.
It's all theoretical.
They traded Zach Ertz to get Tyree Jackson out there, remember?
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
So, yeah, I don't think he's going to make it.
That was one healthy ACL ago.
Yeah. The top 3 are locked in. Calcaterra didn't play tonight. That shows he's there. So unless they keep 4, I think we know what they're doing.
Okay, I agree. Offensive line, you've got the 5 starters. You've got Tyler Steen. You've got Jack Driscoll. You got big old Freddie Johnson.
So let me interject here with some news in case our listeners, whether it's at 12:37 a.m. or tomorrow morning, don't know what happened to Fred Johnson. So the Eagles cut Fred Johnson yesterday. Surprise cut, right? He's someone who's been playing well. You had I don't want to tease your piece, but Fred Johnson's name will come up in your piece this week.
That's true.
And he had emerged as a second-team left tackle for the Eagles. And that's something we've been talking about. Who's that going to be? Tyler Steen, Dennis Kelly, right? And so Fred Johnson's
I don't know that he'll be the game day.
No, but I'm saying he's someone that they like in that role. Okay. So the Eagles cut him, and it's like, oh, this is odd. Did something happen?
Right. He must have peed on somebody.
And it was procedural. He was getting messages from his family down in Florida, like, what's going on, and he's like, chill, don't worry. It's all going to sort himself out. And then the Eagles signed him today to a 2-year contract. Okay. And I'm going to read you a quote from Big Fred. Wow. And if you remember last game.
This is the kind of stuff you can only get from Zach Berman.
Yes. Quote, it means they've seen something that they wanted to keep in the room. I never even had a contract extension in 5 years. After 5 years, you wonder about the journey. So they said, extra year, put some numbers behind it. What else are we waiting for?
Wow, how about that? Now, Fred Johnson, as he says, and as you say, this guy's been around the block. Mm-hmm. He's been on 5 teams. Spent last season on the practice squad for the Eagles. Big guy, 26 years old. He's finally found a home in Stylen University.
And not the most important thing, but something that is relevant to bring up right now.
Is it Fred Johnson or Johnson Fred?
It's Fred Johnson.
Okay.
Something that's relevant to bring up right now. Let's circle back to the Flit Squad draft. Is that what we called it? When I got it, just assigned Fred Johnson.
Wow.
My offensive line
all of a sudden
is looking considerably better. I got Tyler Steen's versatility. I got Fred Johnson there.
Okay.
I mean, let's
this is an important thing to bring up.
Yes.
You still lose, but that's true.
If we're losing because of my offensive line, I don't know. This offensive line looks much better now. Now my wide receivers are still we're still the 2020 Eagles out there at wide receiver. But that offensive line looks considerably better.
And then what was it? Do you remember what it was, left to right?
Lane Johnson right, center Jason Kelsey.
I really appreciate the fact that I said, what was it, left to right? And you began with Lane Johnson right.
Yeah, well, come on. I mean, you got to – if I'm selling you if I'm selling you Fred Johnson, that would be weak. I'm selling you Lane Johnson.
You got the bookend Johnson.
Yeah.
You got Dick and Dick.
Yeah, I'm selling you Lane Johnson. So you got Lane Johnson right, Jason Kelsey center, 2 future Hall of Famers, 2 of the best players on the team. I think I had Jack Driscoll right guard, correct?
Okay. I thought you had Steen at right guard.
Steen at right guard. Then Dive Toth.
You might have had, I think you really scraped the bottom of the barrel at left guard too. Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe I had, because I had like 8 slot receivers, so I didn't use a free agent. I think you told me to use a free agent acquisition on it. We don't have to relitigate that, but point being, it's looking much better right now.
Let's see, right here, I've got it. The Flit Squad draft. You didn't even finish. I guess I didn't even take down who your left tackle.
It was that bad.
Was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. Here we go. So anyway, we've both got a Fred Johnson on. Do you have a 9th?
I do. And perhaps it's because I talk to you every day, multiple times a day, and your camp crushes are in my mind, seared in my mind, but Sua Opeta. Now, I'm not sold on Sua. He was my last guy who made it. And I say that because they've cut him before. They cut him last year, went unclaimed, signed to the practice squad, and signed to a futures deal. But I think when things are equal, the Eagles always go heavier, literally and figuratively. They go heavier on the offensive line, right? They go heavy with the heavies. So I think that this is a spot where they'll get that assurance because Sua could be claimed elsewhere. We all remember when he was on the practice squad in 2019 and Miami tried to sign him.
We all remember
and
this.
The Eagles,
yes.
yeah. I mean, look, if you're watching Birds with Friends at 12:42 right now, then you clearly remember when Sua Opeta was almost signed by the Miami Dolphins because that is a Birds with Friends memory.
Yes, I agree with that. I also have Sua on, and I also don't feel great about it. Josh Sills, I think, if you had asked the Eagles a month ago who was going to be the swing guard, I think they probably would have guessed it was going to be Sills. he has not looked good. He has like barreled all the way down the depth chart. He was not even a starting offensive lineman tonight. The offensive line tonight was Fred Johnson, Julian Good-Jones, Josh Andrews, Tyler Steen, and Dennis Kelly. And then Sills came in later, and he didn't even look good when he was on the field. I don't think that he will make the roster. I think he'll clear waivers, and maybe they'll bring him back to the practice squad. I think that Sua.
By the way, that's a W for me.
What is?
The Sills thing.
What is a W for you?
I was saying all along he wasn't going to be on this roster.
Well, okay.
I was just playing the long game. I was waiting for cutdown day.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Sua is the next best offensive lineman. I think that you could tell me he's going to be the swing guard on game days, and Tyler Steen will be inactive. And that sort of makes sense to me. I don't think it's a definite. I think they could go 8 offensive linemen, but it's possible they keep Julian Good-Jones instead of Sua because he can play center. That's really about the only other thing I could see. Now Sua was on the sideline tonight. He didn't even dress. So I feel like if they were going to whack Sua, they would have given him some tape for other teams. That would have been their move.
Interesting. Okay. You think it's like a form of charity with Sua?
No, it's not a charity. I'm saying.
Oh, they wouldn't have.
They would have. I feel like if they were,
that's why I was a little confused.
If they were going to whack him, then they would have said,
let's not show anybody. Yeah.
No, then they would have.
Yes.
As a benefit to him, they would have.
Oh, okay. So that's why I said as a charity then. Okay. Yeah. So we were on the same.
Well, not charity. It's not. It's like like I'm worried about Kayvon Wallace. He had to play the whole game tonight almost. I've got him on, but I'm not feeling good about that. So.
Well, they don't have that many safeties either. I mean, Tristan McCollum. Safety.
Yeah.
D-line. So this is one you were upset about who they dressed and who they didn't. Well, who they were had in
uniform. But
I
changed my mind, Zach. I changed my mind. So this is where when we came up from the locker room tonight, we had already filed our 53-man projections to our editor. And I messaged him when I came up. I said, I need to jump in the file. I got to make one last change. And the change that I made is I had 7 defensive tackles.
As I do.
And I took out Kentavious Street. Now, Kentavious Street did not dress tonight.
Yes.
He was in.
Well, he dressed. He was not in uniform.
What was he wearing?
Oh, I didn't have eyeballs.
What would you say that he was wearing?
I would say he was wearing a white Eagles shirt and black shorts.
Street clothes.
Okay. Oh, like not even team issued gear. Like
no.
Yeah.
His name is Kentavious Street.
Oh, come on.
He was wearing street clothes.
That's like a dad joke if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Welcome to the show. First time?
No, 5 years this.
So he was in street clothes, and I think he's going to be on the team. I think he's going to be on the week 1 roster. But I think this is a place where they may release him on Tuesday, re-sign him on Thursday once they've put some guys on IR. And so I made an emergency edit to take out Kentavious Street and add an extra player at a heavy position that I don't think they want to expose to waivers. So I may lose here. I reserve the right to change it at 11 in the morning before I send the official submission to Jimmy Kemsky, who is the reigning defending champion. But for now, as of 12:46 in the morning, I'm going with the gambit of releasing Kentavious Street and bringing him back on Thursday.
And let's just explain some of these roster rules real quick for the listeners. Is that
please
and the viewers? So
lean in.
So Tuesday,
Sheryl Sandberg, this bad boy.
So Tuesday is cutdown day. Okay, it goes down to 53. If you're a vested veteran, you are cut and not waived. If you are not a vested veteran, so if you're still on your rookie contract, or you're a practice squad, or you're a practice squad player assigned to a futures deal, that kind of thing, then you're exposed to waivers. So then any team can claim you before you become a free agent, a la Trey Sermon last year. So if you want to create roster flexibility, you cut vested veterans because you can have that wink side deal that we're going to re-sign you. The IR part of it is this. You cannot place a player on IR at the 53 they get a roster spot. Otherwise, that player's out for the entire year. You can only put a player on IR and then bring him back to the active roster after waiver wire clears. So the waiver wire goes through on Wednesday. And then after that, you can, once those moves are made the next day, you can then put a guy on IR and re-sign somebody. So that's what we say, cut the vested veteran, like I said, a running back, or cut the vested veteran, as we said, with Contavious Street, and bring him back.
There you go. So we both have Marlon Tuipulotu and Moro Ojomo on. Ojomo.
It's a lot of vowels between those two.
That's right.
How many O's in Moro Ojomo?
Now, so this is a bit of a contentious situation here, Zach, because Moro's first name, if you look at some places, is not Moro. It is, according to Wikipedia, Moro Tuluwa Ojomo. But in the NFLPA system, on the Eagles roster, officially his name is Moro. So I am rectifying the mistake I once made with Slay, and I'm calling him what he prefers to be called.
Correct. It's
so
no different than Bo
O's.
and what your first name is, right? He goes by
Moro Tuluwa.
Yes. So I also have Moro Ojomo who has a concussion right now on my 53. I have Marlon T on my 53, but I do have Contavious Street on my 53. I interpreted him not playing tonight as a sign that he made the team, but maybe they do the roster maneuvering like you said. Real quick, and well, I guess we'll wait for cornerbacks for the clarification of why one player was not in uniform tonight.
Okay. Defensive end / Sam linebacker.
Otherwise known as edge rushers.
All right. Do you want to host the show?
And then, as Jonathan Gannon used to call them, what?
Guys I don't use? I don't know.
Overhang players?
Okay. You've ground the podcast to a screeching halt. Congratulations. We've both got 6.
Mm-hmm.
Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Nolan Smith, Derek Barnett. How do you feel about Derek Barnett? You feel like he's definitely on?
Yes, I feel he's definitely on. When I spoke to
do you
Derek,
think they're making a mistake by doing that?
I don't. I think
Speak your truth.
I think Derek Barnett's upside is such that you want to have him on. He's proven in the NFL that he can get to the quarterback. He brings a little aggression to the team.
I think a little aggression from the 5th edge rusher is pretty good. Maybe not as the starting defensive end, but you need somebody to you need a little nasty in there.
Yeah,
someone's got to do what C.J. Gardner-Johnson did last year.
It's the 4th line defenseman in hockey, right?
Sure. Now here's where we have a difference of opinion. You've got Patrick Johnson. I've got Kyron Johnson.
So this could be the swing vote here.
So Patrick Johnson played a ton tonight. I don't think that he's deserving of making the team.
So let me just interject here. I think part of the reason he played a ton tonight is he didn't play the past 2 games, correct?
Correct.
So this is the first time he's getting game film. Before the injury, I thought he was coming. I thought he looked good. You don't seem to think so.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think he's fine. I think that, listen, Hassan Reddick and Nolan Smith are both banged up right now. So they need somebody to be the Sam linebacker in practice. I think that could be Patrick Johnson. He could make it. I could very well see him being the guy. He makes the initial 53, and he's the one who is waived when they make a waiver claim. I don't think his spot is secure. I think that Kyron is a better special teams player.
I would agree there.
He is coming off an appendectomy. Now, that could be something that lasts a long time. I looked it up.
so
last year, Minka Fitzpatrick had an appendectomy and only missed 1 week.
So we're using Bo's computer here. Okay. Maybe the camera's better for that reason. And Bo has 80,000 tabs open.
Not that many.
And when Bo went to search for something earlier, I saw a tab, NFL player appendectomy. And I was just, I didn't know what was going on. Okay. I didn't know if you had a story you were working on. I didn't realize. So now this starts to make sense that you were researching the timetable for NFL players. Yeah. Okay.
Minka Fitzpatrick last year. He had an emergency appendectomy on a Saturday before a Sunday game and played the next week after missing just the one game.
If I'm not mistaken, that game was against the Eagles.
Was it?
I believe so.
Yeah, I guess that would make sense. So anyway, now you might say, Bo, you said that Britton Covey couldn't make the clump in the tump. Why would you say that Kyron Johnson couldn't? Well, I think there's a little bit of a difference in terms of being in the tump between like a hamstring injury and an appendectomy. And I think that the role that they would keep him for is something that they don't need to necessarily see. But I don't know. Maybe you carry him onto the roster and you could put him on IR on that Thursday. Also, he's got more time on his rookie contract than Patrick Johnson does.
Both fair points. Also, as an aside, I appreciate that your impression of me is not the Kirk Cousins voice or the Jason Kelce voice.
I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about the listener.
Okay, you, the listener. Okay. Yeah, look, I don't have a strong Patrick Johnson take here. I tend to think that when you have someone who can get to the quarterback, if they have pass rushing juice, you go with it. I wasn't actually between Patrick Johnson and Kyron Johnson. I was between Patrick Johnson and Janarius Robinson. I don't think Janarius Robinson has shown enough, but
he also can't do the overhang thing.
Man, but he is he's a Josh Sweat type. But he's the guy.
It's high praise coming from you. I can't believe you would cut a guy who is a Josh Sweat type.
He's a guy you want coming off the bus, right? Although, as I say that, we once asked Nick Sirianni. We once asked
coming on the bus.
No, there was a conversation I had with somebody in the building. Like, who do you want to be the guy coming on the bus for you or coming off the bus for you?
Did it.
And the answer is Jack Driscoll.
Probably
like of all the guys.
Really?
Yes.
Jack. Who answered Jack Driscoll?
I'll tell you after the show.
If it was a Jack, then maybe it was the coming on and the
Bo.
Listen, it's 12:55.
It's a family podcast.
We're really off the rails, huh? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It could be nobody. I don't think they're super concerned about exposing Patrick Johnson to waivers.
I wouldn't be super exposed to. I wouldn't be super concerned about exposing Patrick Johnson.
You already talked about being super exposed after 12:30 in the morning. Linebackers, at least 3 guys are going to make it: Nakobe Dean, Zach Cunningham, and Christian Ellis. Will it be a 4th? Will it be Nicholas Morrow?
No.
Will it be Ben Van Sumeren? You've got no Morrow? I considered Morrow. I really did think long and hard about that. 3 linebackers is light. Morrow could be a guy that you keep initially and then waive or release because he's a vested veteran after you claim somebody. So he could make through that way. But I agree. I also only have 3 carried on to the initial 53.
So an appendix, no pun intended, to the appendectomy, to my reference earlier about the roster rules. One other thing we should say is that if you're a vested veteran and you're on the roster week 1 for the week 1 game, then your contract is guaranteed that year
for the full season.
The full season. So,
and it's not a ton of money. Like Nicholas Morrow is I think 1.1 million, right?
No, but sometimes you want that flexibility. It's like, all right,
a lot of money to me.
If we can survive week 1 without him, then you can bring him back the next year. There was we all remember.
The strap.
They did this with Brandon Hughes in 2013.
Wow, Mr. Hughes. Strap was actually different. Strap was the release and then re-sign. Yes. That was different. They did it with somebody else recently as well.
So no, I only have 3, but
I always liked Brandon Hughes.
Me too. Every Tuesday I would ask him about every Thursday he would ask me who was playing in that Thursday night game.
Okay.
Brandon Hughes from
Oregon State.
Boom. Well done. So
thought you were going to get me, didn't you?
I did actually. I have them keeping
Hughes, my guy.
I have them keeping 3. This is a spot they can look on the waiver wire, but this is also a spot that there could be a potential last minute trade. Because I hear safety as a rumor for that, but I really think they would like Sidney Brown to develop into a starting safety. I don't think they necessarily want to block Sidney Brown this year unless you're getting like a Budda Baker type, and I don't think they're getting a Budda Baker type. I think you can get by with Blankenship and your other safeties until Brown's ready for that role. Linebackers, not the case. You're not saying, man, we got Nakobe Dean, Zach Cunningham, we're set. Zach Cunningham's looked solid since signing here. Certainly better than my boy Miles Jack. But I think this is still a spot they could trade. Now, that said, Howie could have traded for Isaiah Simmons. It only cost the 7th. Joe Shane was the one who was opportunistic. Joe Shane was the one who is when Howie's watching an Eagles-Giants game this year and he sees the positionless player and he thinks about he says, you know what? Eric Spoelstra once had a meeting with LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and said, we're not going to announce positions this year, right? So, yeah, Joe Shane, credit to him for acquiring Isaiah Simmons.
I think this is embarrassing even for you.
I mean, you would be a Gannon defender. I get it. But
Zach, you can't you can't be licking popsicles when a guy like you don't think they tried to canvass the league to get whatever they could for him, and the best they could get was a 7th round pick?
I was clearly leaning into a bit. Okay. But I am still on Simmons Island, and
that means, you know what that means?
What's that?
You're going to be wide open.
Did you see the play in the last preseason game at the goal line?
No.
You probably weren't watching Arizona Cardinals preseason.
No, I was not. Okay. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, he missed the tackle at the goal line, and that was it. That was the end of the Isaiah Simmons era.
Yeah, positionless players means that you don't have a position. You shouldn't be on the field.
I saw a stat that 4 of Steve Keim's 5 last first-round picks all changed positions, or 4 of his 5 first-round picks changed positions. Hassan Reddick, Deion Buchanan, Isaiah Simmons, and Zaven Collins.
And that's why the Eagles want to add him to the front office. Yeah, I would say that anytime the Eagles look across the field and see Isaiah Simmons on the other side, they will be pretty happy.
We'll see. Let talent fail. We'll see.
Okay.
But my 3 here are Nakobe Dean, Zach Cunningham, Christian Ellis. And I think that they're going to add to that position.
Okay. Let's go to cornerback, because this is where I made my emergency tweak. And it might look silly. I'll sleep on it. Maybe I'll change it. Darius Slay, James Bradbury, Avonte Maddox, Josh Jobe, Keely Ringo. We agree on those. We've both got Eli Ricks on. I was a little disappointed Eli Ricks played so well tonight because I thought he was on before the game began. Now I think everyone's going to have him on. He's good. And so when I did the Kentavious Street gambit, the player that I added, Mekhi Garner.
Mekhi Garner of 2 interceptions in Tuesday's practice. Interesting one. So Mekhi Garner, undrafted rookie from LSU, older side. Not a typical Bo Wolf guy, an older prospect. But he has made plays, has good size. I see that. Ricks and Garner would be a little bit of a luxury.
Ricks
but again,
and Garner and Ringo.
Yes. Now, a few things here. First off, the listeners are probably wondering, what about backup slot?
And Job.
Listeners are probably wondering, what about backup slot? Well, the answer to that, Mario Goodrich didn't play tonight. There hasn't been a reported injury about Mario Goodrich. So there's some speculation. Was he in the Josh Jobe category where he's already made the team? No, there is a Mario Goodrich injury. Mario Goodrich, I believe, has a groin injury. That's why he did not play tonight.
Did you just did some old school reporting on that?
Yeah, I did.
Good for you.
I did. I asked.
Did you poke him in the groin and he said, "Ow"?
That would be weird. No, I asked Nick Sirianni.
Oh.
And Nick Sirianni said, we'll get that information for you. And probably was one of the few people inquiring about Mario Goodrich. I don't think he got prepped for the Mario Goodrich injury question.
Nick, how's his groin?
So here, the backup slot's a question ever since Zach McPherson's injury. I don't think it's essential right now. I think you can sneak Goodrich through to practice squad. Last year was an example. I don't think he's shown enough this summer that I think he's been solid this summer in practices, but I don't think teams are all of a sudden going to be like, man, we need to get Mario Goodrich on our 53. The way Howie Roseman puts these 53-man rosters together is obviously you have like 48 guys, 49 guys, whatever the number is, that you say, all right, these are the players that we need this season. But then the last 3-4 spots, you're saying these are guys that we do not want to expose to practice squad. And
that's where I have Garner as my last guy.
And that's why I have Ricks going on, because I really think that Ricks has shown enough juice. I thought he had a decent game tonight. I got to say, I did not watch this game as intently as like every other game this season. But I think Eli Ricks has shown enough that you don't want other teams to have a chance to claim him.
Yeah, I definitely agree on him. I'm not sure that I agree with myself on whether Garner merits that.
Were you playing contrarian, or did you genuinely believe that?
No, I would never just play contrarian with something so important as the 53-man roster projection.
Isn't that game theory? Like when you're doing NCAA tournament pools, you don't want to go chalk.
Well, yeah, but I'm doing it what I think is going to happen.
Okay.
As of 12:30 tonight, that's what I thought was going to happen.
But in order to win, you need something different than the rest of the group.
Yeah, but I don't think there's enough like full lockstep in the projections.
Okay.
Now safety, I feel like this is a place where I might get this wrong. We have the same thing here. We have all 5 guys making it: Reed Blankenship, Justin Evans, Terrell Edmonds, Sidney Brown, Kayvon Wallace. I think this might be too easy. I think they might whack one of these guys. Now, Kayvon Wallace played, as you said, they don't have a lot of safety options, but he played a ton tonight. He's on the final year of his rookie deal. I think that he's actually been solid this camp, but the Eagles know him well enough. They may think that the experiment is over. I think he offers a little bit more playmaking than Evans and Edmonds. And Evans is a guy who has a long injury history. I'm also not sure that Terrell Edmonds is definitely going to be on the team. I think it's possible that they cut him. I don't know if they need to keep all 5 of these guys. Now, I think part of it is, I think we both agree, if you go light at linebacker with just 3, Edmonds maybe gives you a little bit of cover there. He can be a backup linebacker on game day. We know he can play in the box. I don't know if they feel like they need to keep all 5 of these guys. I feel like if I don't win, if one of us doesn't win, this is where we're going to lose.
I certainly don't have strong conviction on Kayvon Wallace. I think at some point you do pay attention to guys who can play special teams, and Kayvon can contribute on special teams. He can be a decent backup safety. But yeah, I don't look at this 5-man safety group and say, man, they're set. A lot of any optimism about
best safety group in the NFL, just like the Niners quarterback group.
Any optimism at safety is dependent upon Sidney Brown becoming a legitimate player, because Reed Blankenship has had a really good camp, and he's obviously the unquestioned starter. Who's the starter against the Patriots? The second one. Are you saying Justin Evans?
Right now, I would say Justin Evans.
Interesting. Yeah, that's what I would say too. Terrell Edmonds, I hear what you say, but I still think he can be the hybrid linebacker safety type. And Sidney Brown, obviously, you're hoping for a lot from him. Kayvon would be the man on the chopping block here, and that's why I say, for instance, like they don't have 53 guys who I say need to be on the team, because
right.
If you told me you're cutting Kayvon Wallace, I say nice guy, but I get it.
And then finally, now we both kept Aaron Siposs on. I feel like that also may be somewhere where we lose, because they could trade for a punter.
Mm-hmm.
They could just waive Aaron Siposs, and if nobody claims him, they can keep him on the practice squad and he can punt that way. But I don't know. I'm not willing to risk it on that one.
That's the old Lovato, isn't it? Didn't they cut Lovato at one point? Just
he was in the middle of the season though.
Yeah. Okay. Just to get the roster spot, and then they made some. So they're obviously, but this is the thing too with punter. If you want to have a certain mix of 53, literally for week 1, you can sign a punter to your practice squad and elevate him too. That's a potential solution here.
It's also there's the length of time between the roster cuts in week 1, I think plays into it. Whereas in past years it was closer. It was like just leading into week 1. We all remember the Kyle Devan trade. I think that plays into it as well. So they could whack Siposs. I also sort of wonder if, like, they don't want to be punting that much anyway. Maybe they care more about like the field goal operation. And Siposs wasn't that bad in the first half of last year before he got injured. I don't know that they view it as much of an emergency that they need to get a better punter than a lot of the fan base seems to.
Yeah, I would agree there. And in Siposs's defense, I don't want to sound like Chip Kelly praising Riley Cooper for his blocking, or Carson Walsh saying Matt Collins is in the right place at the right time. But
those are two really tough comparisons to give to Siposs.
But holding is a part of Siposs's job. And Jake Elliott nailed a 59-yard field goal tonight. And it was a little bit of a high snap from Rick Lovato, the long snapper. And I thought that Siposs did a good job getting that down for Elliott. So that synergy is something you have to consider. Those guys have been together now for the past 2 years. And if you make that change, it doesn't always go smoothly. So it's something you have to be at least mindful of. It's not top of mind, but you have to be mindful of it.
All right, ZB. That was it. That was the 53. What else do we need to talk about?
So in the team meeting Wednesday night, Nick Sirianni does something where he shows like clips of the rookies and different things from their college career.
Get in there.
And he showed all of Kelee Ringo's interception returns, and including the interception return for a touchdown against Alabama in the national championship game. And Nick said the Alabama guys in the room turned their heads, and the Georgia guys in the room stood up and started barking. So a little color from the meeting room on Wednesday night.
Like actually barking?
That's how I perceived it. Yeah, like barking like dogs.
Okay.
Because the Georgia Dogs group chat, which DeAndre Swift is not a part of. Just taking you inside the team, man.
Okay. I mean, he's older. He wasn't on the.
He was teammates with Nakobe and Jordan.
Okay. Ooh.
Is that your bark?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It like a. How would you do a bark?
I would probably go like roof.
You think that's what they're doing? You think they're in the team in the big team meeting? They're going.
I don't think they're doing that. But no, if you ask me to bark, I would go with a rough more than a wolf.
Okay. Let us know what you would do with hashtag
your bark
BWF bark, and tweet at Zach.
You really don't have to.
Maybe with like an audio file.
Please don't.
Tweet that at Zach.
Please don't.
All right. Well, we'll find out what happens.
So let's set the stage here for what's ahead. The Eagles.
If you had to predict who you think is going to win the beat writer competition this year, who would you guess?
You.
Nah, it's not going to be me.
I mean, Bo, you're a 3-time champion.
That's true. I mean, I do belong in the Hall of Fame of roster projections, but I don't feel. I mean, the odds are not in my favor of me winning.
Well, yeah, they're not in your favor, right? That. But if I had to pick someone, I would pick you. No one obsesses.
I think you're going to win
over reserve offensive lineman the way you do.
Yeah, but it's not all about that.
True.
Okay.
So Sirianni also said he was asked. You kind of got. I
think got your Siri on.
What's that?
You activated your Siri.
At this point, I can answer some of Nick Sirianni's questions for him, right? So and this is no disrespect to anyone who asked the question. It's just
Siri, call Jeffrey Lurie.
Please don't. So Sirianni's asked a version each year of how much can a guy help himself in the last game, and every year he gives the example of Austin Eckler making the team in the last preseason game, and
It's a good one.
He brought that one up tonight.
Maybe Tyreek Maddox Williams made the team tonight.
Yeah, you had a good joke there. The son of Avante and Milton.
What's the joke?
So this week, the Eagles are off on Friday. They return to practice they're off Saturday. Return to practice Sunday. Jalen Hurts is going to be a little upset to find out that there's no training camp.
Yeah.
Sign.
I rewatched that press conference, and it's very funny. He goes, "We decide when training camp's over." Like,
I got a text from someone last night.
What?
I got a text from someone last night saying that I didn't have Jalen Hurts disagreeing with you on when training camp ends on my bingo card this year. Yeah,
we decide. Okay.
Literally, they're pulling the signs down. He's gonna call. So they return Sunday, Monday for 2 practices, which are always awkward because like guys know, you're kind of looking around who's there, who's not. It's weird for our job too, because you're seeing like who didn't make the cut. Is this guy not here for this reason? So, but yeah, that's on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday they make the cuts. One thing Howie's done in the past is he's made cuts early, and they say it helps the player catch on somewhere else. But really, what it does, I'm not saying they're sinister in intent, but what it does is it exposes them to waivers a day earlier. Teams are less inclined to claim a guy on waivers when they're in the process of cutting from 90 to 53 than they are when they're at 53 and they see who's out there. So it's a way of kind of getting guys through waivers a day early.
Yes. And it also makes sense for them to do that because they played tonight and there's teams who aren't playing until Saturday. So, all right. Anything else from the game to talk about? Anything else from your life? Anything we need to discuss?
No, I think that's a sufficient 52-minute podcast.
How was the reunion with the children?
It was awesome to see them. Yeah. Took them to Legoland the other day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Never been.
So Sloan didn't have socks on. She was wearing like ballet slippers.
Okay.
And they don't let you in the jungle gym without socks.
Really?
So this sucker over here had to buy the Legoland socks. That's how they get you.
And that's your number one takeaway from Legoland.
No, that's not my number.
Socks.
That's not my number one takeaway. I was just giving you some color from it was awesome. We had a great time. It was I haven't seen them as much during these past 2 weeks just because camp and practice, and games and so it was awesome.
Nice. All right. I guess we might as well wrap it up. Let Kent go to sleep. We will be back probably. Well, we'll see if there is any breaking news. If they make a trade of any import, then we will fire up the old emergency pod. But otherwise, we will be here to unpack the initial 53 and hopefully celebrate one of the two of us being crowned champion. The most important part of the summer. That'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. For Zach and Kent and Tyreek, I'm Bo. We thank you for listening. We'll talk to you later, and as always, we love you.
Birds with friends.